Hello and welcome. Welcome to Oz by Drone. I'm Greg. So we're having a little bit of fun in the background with our internet today, but we're getting there slowly. I may get up in a little while and give it a kick. We'll see how we go. Indeed. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. I don't know if we've yet got our Phantom. So I've got on the screen, where are you 400 AGL? Now, I didn't put that there. Hopefully he did. There he is, hiding in the chat. Just to share with everyone, this is our special guest behind the scenes, Mel, the Phantom Trucker. So he's in there putting up things on the screen for us. And thank you very much for your input, Mel. But let's get started. What have you been up to this week, John?
But there's some amazing videos coming in and some great videos from our viewers as well, which has been exciting.
Yeah, and I just heard from someone we had low audio on you. We've just fixed that up, so you're back up again. Apologies for that.
I'm outside. As you can see, I am sitting on top of my house on the boat, and of course, I can hear the wind generator in the background there going nuts, but I'm not sure whether you can hear it too much. As long as you can hear me, that's all right.
Yeah.
And it's the wind generator that you can hear. That's important too.
As long as it's not an internal wind generator, it's okay.
Oh, come on. I wasn't going to go there. But, thank you.
And myself, I've been down at Green Hills Beach a couple of days ago doing some flying over there, down near Wanda. Beautiful area to fly. And I actually met a couple of fixed-wing pilots out there, and I've got some of their video later on the show. But we've got so much today.
Yep, let's get into it.
It's packed in. So I should actually be more prepared. We talked about this before. We talked about it, and I was going to be totally perfectly prepared.
Push the button. Let's go.
So the button is there. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, news, what's happening in the scene. And just a quick comment. We will be definitely talking about the recent DJI activities very, very shortly. But before we do that, just a quick comment. Our news is compiled thanks to Jeff Sills, and also the name is escaping me. I've got it on my sheet. And Greg Hilton, I should have remembered that. He was our guest a couple of weeks ago. So thank you to both of those gentlemen. If you have a look in the description, there's also a link to a wiki site where you can have a look at some more information. So first of all, DJI, the bigger picture. Now, this has been an event that everyone's been talking about, and DJI cancelled it. Now, we don't have anything specific to share about the cancellation of that event other than to say, firstly, I'm personally impressed with DJI for cancelling the event, right? There are a lot of companies that, I've interacted with that have had marketing-led events that have proceeded despite a product not being ready. So I'm actually quite impressed the fact that they did take that decision to cancel it at late notice.
Well, I think you might be slanted a little bit because you know what they're going to launch now. So that's really hard part of it, isn't it? Because we know what they're going to think. Okay, go get it ready. We're happy with the airplane you're going to push out. Do you think that's basically it, though? Do you think that one new release of the long-awaited Mavic 2 is all it is, or you think there's something else?
Look, I have my gut feeling, and I said it last week, and I've got a feeling that there's still a dual product launch. That's only a personal opinion. It's not one that's shared by many people.
Well, they do that. I know they do it, so,
Yeah, I think there may be a Phantom 5 coming, and the reason for that, and I said it last time, we saw that one that was supposedly a special build for a customer, but the amount of effort and work that went into that for a single customer, there's no way on this earth that they wouldn't be planning to release that. The only question is, do they release it at the same time? So we'll find that out very shortly.
Well, I think the Mavic 2 release and the photo that's been circulating is pretty exciting. I think basically everyone that's flown a Mavic, had a Mavic, agrees that the camera and gimbal was a rather fragile part of the airplane. rather exposed part of the airplane. And so if we have a better camera, better gimbal, more resolution, the Mavic as it was pretty good. And I suppose I'm jumping the gun here, Greg, am I? But we can say that the motors are bigger in the new one in the Mavic 2. There you go.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's start, because everyone wants to know about the Mavic
so,
2, I think.
They do. And what I'd like to do, so we've got a few photos, but before I specifically talk about the photo, I want to talk about the source of the information. I think this is really interesting and relevant because this is, you might think of it as the secret society to get some of this information sometimes, but let's have a look. We've got a couple of photos. So the first one is photo number 1.2.1. So this is a photo that came out of a tool called Slack. Now, for those of you who don't use Slack, this is also known as the DJI reverse engineering, place where we all talk about a lot of things, including, well, mostly DJI products, I suppose, but hacking DJI products. And in this case, this photo was posted. Now, notice the time there, 2:35 a.m. Now, on the next photo, this is a photo that was posted by one of the media sources claiming to have an exclusive.
There's the camera. You can see the camera there quite clearly.
Indeed. And I'm just pointing out the time was certainly a little bit after the original post. So my conclusion is the source of the photo came from that Slack posting. Now, we're going to talk about the content of that photo in just a few moments, but let's just quickly go to the next picture for a moment. So that wasn't the next one. There was one in between the wiki. Oh, that is the wiki. My bad.
I know what you're looking at there, and that's the person who's pointing towards the prop. So that's it. But that's a big guess, isn't it? If you think you can guess who wears pink nail polish in the Slack forum.
Yeah, look, there's some people who are guessing about the photo, and they're thinking that the photo has iJustine, who's certainly one of the bloggers based on the pink nail polish. But I do want to draw people's attention to the website where you're looking at this at the moment. This is dji.retroroms.net. This is a site that I created, I own. I didn't post the photo there first, but certainly it's got a link in the top right-hand corner to Slack. So if people want to get into this underground community, both in terms of the hacking scene, finding out more about things before everyone else, this is certainly a good place to look. Now that we've talked about all of that,
the aeroplane itself, we're guessing that we've got obstacle avoidance 5 directions now, but nothing on top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so they're pulling in a lot of the phantom stuff in. And do you reckon that that's a 1-inch sensor hanging off it there? I can't see that it could be, but I mean, it's deceiving because the way the box is shrouded around it and the size of the side motors, if they're the same as the originals, I'm trying to extrapolate what the dimensions are of that camera.
The reports are a 1-inch sensor, and there's also a second one in the bottom left. That second one it looks to be attached to a handheld device where you can potentially use it kind of like an Osmo somewhere else.
Well, that would be an absolute groundbreaker if you could take that camera off and put a small thermal camera on a Mavic, or run it on the Osmo, the same device running on a small Osmo. That would just sell out of the box. I can't tell you how it would go. And you know what? Thermal camera technology has come down to the stage where even the handheld stuff, the very affordable stuff, could be put into a sensor that size. And I can't think of why that they would put an enterprise type product into the Mavic. But I tell you what, I know Mavic owners, and they're into everything. People that fly Mavics want to go fast, they want to go high, they like to be able to fold it up, take it everywhere. They love everything about their Mavic. Putting a thermal camera on it, no problem. Where do I sign? Where do I pay? So I get that about the profile of the people that like to fly the Mavic.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just having a look at our internet stats here, and I don't know why, but we're getting a few drop frames and buffering today.
Okay.
Just to say, this show is proudly sponsored by Telstra. Thank you. Anyway, look, what we will do at times when it drops out, we're just going to click the restart button, and we'll definitely upload a copy of this later so you can have a look at it. We're also having issues with the chat today. Thank you. This show is proudly sponsored by Telstra. Just reminding you. Thank you.
Yep. So we're back online. So we're good.
Okay. So
yep.
What we do know, again, just to share, let's put the photo out one more time. 1.3, I think it was. 1.2.3. There we go. So we'll make that full screen.
So that's on the Retro Rooms one anyway.
Yeah.
Put in the post. So yeah, good.
Just a comment, people, if you do want to have a look at this photo is around everywhere now. And if you want to have a look at it in some more detail, you can go to either our site, which is dji.retroroms.info. I'll say it again, dji.retroroms.info. You can have a look at it there. And yeah, some interesting content in there. Just to quickly highlight though, it doesn't have the new quiet props that we're used to on our Phantoms and so forth, but there's no special news that hasn't already been circulated about the photo. But I just wanted to share where it came from. The rest is speculation, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. They're definitely different motors, I can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about that. So I don't know what that's about, but you know what I reckon would be really cool, and this is my on my wish list. I want to have a Mavic style aeroplane that's like, I don't know, a metre across. You know, massive folding arms. The thing would go into a great big tube, if you like, but something that and have it as an X8. So you'd have your top and bottom props fold out. Because I think the idea of the Mavic as a fold out and as an airframe is perfect, because people say it looks like the insect, but in terms of a UAV, it's very, very efficient in for what it does and the way it folds out and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, that was just something I've dreamed up one day. But
you'd like an industrial Mavic?
I'd like an industrial Mavic. That type of convenience and airplane. A lot of the other larger quads like that fold out differently, and have all sorts of clunky clips and so forth.
Speaking of industrial.
Mm-hmm.
So the Leica AI bot, just moving off the topic of the Mavic, this is a DJI partnership with a company called Leica. Leica are most famous for making laser measuring equipment in terms of what I know them for as well. Let's have a quick look at that information.
Hello, my name is Brian Baker, and I'm the North American Sales Manager for Unmanned Aircraft Systems with Leica Geosystems. Today I'd like to introduce you to the new Leica ABOT Unmanned Aircraft System. The Leica ABOT Unmanned Aircraft System is a complete workflow combining an aircraft, a flight controller, and a full
That's got
field
30 grand written all over it.
Suite.
More.
Starting with the aircraft itself. The Leica iBot is based on the DJI M600 flying platform.
Yeah, so the M600, all DJI product there.
Flying vehicles, and we've taken the M600
but a long story short, they've taken that platform
Leica sensor technology
with some sensor technology, and the purpose and the function of that is going to be to do a lot of mapping, a lot of GPS locked kind of stuff. Definitely industrial application. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all of the videos today, we've got the channels that they come from in the description for the video, so definitely be sure to check that out. Moving on, so we have something happening in Brisbane. So we've got the World of Drones Congress. Now, we'll just have a look at some of the people who are going to be speaking there. What do you know about this, John?
Well, I know that the Queensland Premier made a big splash there last year. Created world. I spoke to some of the vendors and some of the people that attended there, and they said, you know, some of the days up there have been like a ghost town. It's interesting. You know, we've been to a few of these events now, and the ones that are rich in terms of you know, discussing future technologies, airspace integration, all those kind of things, tend to attract me. The Australian Association of Unmanned Systems run great events.
John, I don't know why your audio is down, but it is. Let's try that again. Do you want to just quickly go back in and restart your quick commentary about the World of Congress?
Yeah, the World of Drones Congress in Brisbane, where the Premier of Brisbane just sort of tried to get a great announcement suggesting that Queensland would be the drone centre of the universe. We're going to do this. We're going to have all sorts of fantastic initiatives in Queensland. We're going to prompt emergency services and all sorts of government agencies to use drones. And because it created world news, it was very big news. However, some of the vendors mentioned that the Congress was not well attended, bit of a ghost town. And of course, there are, you know, unless you're there, you don't really know. But I think that a World of Drones Congress, you've got to look at the content and the speakers, was always my feeling. And it's got to be something there for you. I mean, I like the ones that the Australian Association of Unmanned Systems, AAUS, runs some great conferences, great sort of content that, you know, that really relates to, I suppose, our place in the business. We know that we're not necessarily just talking about, you know, billion-dollar military aircraft. We're talking about grassroots operators, recreational concerns, just basically for the rest of us, for the masses that want to fly. And so where I look at the World of Drones Congress, have a look at there. If there's something for you, I think it'd be a great thing to support anyway. But as I said, last year, Queensland Premier made a big announcement. It was a great announcement that the government was going to get behind it. Who knows what they'll do this year? I'd stay tuned and see what comes up.
Just let's quickly play the video of some of the people that are going to be there.
Industry leaders from across the globe are coming to Brisbane to plan the future. Expect strategic input from economists, futurists, lawyers, journalists, scientists, and business leaders. What does the new drone economy look like, and how will it affect our daily lives? Early bird full registration ends 30th April. Be part of a world-leading and game-changing conversation.
So if anyone's in Australia at that time, certainly something to have a look at. We've got the World of Congress link in the description, so if you want to click on that and have a look. Yep. Moving on, so the next one we've got is the Triton Drones. So Australia, for those who didn't know, has spent, wait for it, $5 billion on drones. Hang on, one more time. I need the echo that Ken's got when he does his show. $5 billion on drones. Yeah. Which is quite a large amount of money. So they're not exactly the small drones that you and I fly. They're looking at doing coastal surveillance around Australia, obviously for defence purposes, for border protection, but they're also going to be flying in the South China Sea for freedom of navigation purposes.
Yep.
Let's just have a look at that.
Northrop Grumman's MQ-4C Triton unmanned aircraft system provides the Australian government with an unprecedented ability to collect multiple types of intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance information over vast areas
Look
of
at those
ocean
hard
and
pods
coastal
there for the
regions.
sidewinders, hey?
Triton can fly surveillance missions for more than 24 hours at altitudes exceeding 50,000 feet. This endurance and altitude makes Triton the only unmanned aircraft system capable of covering Australia's 8 million square kilometres of economic exclusion zone,
Look at that.
as well
That's
as outer
amazing.
territorial islands
So
in a
this,
single
this
mission.
product can
Based
fly
on Global
for
Hawk,
24
the United
hours
States Air Force's
without
combat
stopping,
proven
which is
unmanned
pretty
aircraft
amazing.
System.
Yep.
Triton was developed by the US Navy to meet demanding maritime surveillance requirements.
Well, these aircraft
As
are
the
flying
Royal
all over
Australian
the
Air
place at the
Force's
moment.
MQ-4C
You know, they're everywhere.
Triton, the
Yeah.
system will provide an unblinking eye over the Commonwealth's maritime domain.
It
So
was
let's-
only a matter of time,
and
and look, there's a massive cost saving. The truth is, to do what they do, I mean, not only is there probably not another way to do that as effectively, other than satellites, of course, but of the difference is, and I'll just throw this out there, that adding weapons to an aircraft like that, and we are talking about the military here, adding weapons to it's pretty simple. They just bolt on. And I suppose in a time of escalated tension and threat, that's what they would do. And so, you know, you've got that capability as well, which a satellite doesn't necessarily have.
Yeah.
And it's also, you know, you can direct it to a particular area, circle over a spot. I mean, once upon a time, they told us that forget airplanes, satellites are going to do everything, but they don't actually yet. Perhaps we'll
Absolutely.
have unmanned systems, which a satellite is an unmanned system, of course, just a very high altitude one, and not very maneuverable necessarily. So, you know, the fact that these high altitude or low Earth orbit aircraft are very, very capable, and I think it's a good step. I feel sorry for all the guys that fly coastal surveillance around Australia and you know that have had that role, but I'm sure you know that they'll be used effectively other ways, and this will just be, you know, and that's very, very obvious why. I imagine the Americans have them everywhere.
Yeah, I'd say so. Just moving on, we're going to go through quickly today. I'm going to skip to only one more news article, and we'll skip some more so that we can get to the end of our show. So BV loss is a theme that we've had for a while, and we're just going to have a chat about, so the Australian Association of AA Unmanned Systems.
AAUS, they're the people I talked about earlier.
Yep, so let's just play the video in the background while we chat about it, but we won't worry about the audio for it. So the video that we've got here is just of a system that's flying a 30-kilometre mission.
Yep. That's a Talon. Of course, that's a single-engine aircraft, often equipped with a parachute. Easy to fit ADS-B to. It's probably got an RFD 900 modem in it, which will go out to about 40 kilometres. So this is stuff you can buy off the shelf, everybody. You put that together for around $4 or $5 grand with everything, all of the bells and whistles. That's including your laptop, your controller, everything. So it's a pretty affordable solution for a long-range FPV. And look, to most people that are in long-range FPV, that's just an everyday aeroplane for them.
But 30 kilometres, that is beautiful.
It is. Well, you know, tell you what though, if you Google long-range FPV in the YouTube, I can show you a whole lot of 100-kilometre flights, no problem at all. So if you're running a twin with and 20,000 amp hours of battery, you'll go out even further, provided you've got your meteorology right. And so what there's obviously looking at is if this off-the-shelf technology is capable of doing this. I think it's pretty obvious. There's the parachute drop. I think it's pretty obvious that, you know, we're going to be having to sort that out and the risk around an aircraft like that. So at the moment, of course, those flights are not necessarily legal unless they have an area approval to do it, unless you've got an approval to fly that flight. So the other thing, though, is that we're seeing situations now where groups are going to set up area specific in remote areas to test that sort of equipment. But CASA is looking at BVLOS, and they're going to call it BVLOS in stages. And the first stage is going to be called EVLOS, or Extended Visual Line of Sight. There are two categories of it, option 1 and option 2. And the first level of containment, let's just say that, is going to be radio line of sight. So once you jump to 4G networked aeroplanes where you can fly, where you're not limited by the actual radio line of sight of the transmitter at the base station, then you really do have a long range capability. And saying 30 kilometres is nothing. If you've got the range, we just looked at a 24-hour airplane. If you can stack it up with the batteries and make it work, you can fly for 24 hours. So the first level of containment, and this is the sort of things that I was involved in the meeting with CASA, is to look at that radio line of sight. Now that leaves plenty of options for commercial operators that want to operate in the 1 to 4 kilometre range, where they've got an observer able to monitor the airspace out at the 4 kilometre point, perhaps 3 kilometres. They'll decide that number, but it's going to give a huge flexibility to shark spotting, to emergency services, to everyone that wants to operate legally and operate the airplane at extended distances, not massive distances, but just extended distances. So look, that's it at the moment. There's not much else around it, except that everyone, I can tell you, in the UAV industry at a commercial level is talking about BVLOS. This is the next thing that we will see. This will be the biggest jump, since we worked out gravity and how to defy it. It is a huge change in the way we'll operate in the future. And yet, everybody's flying BVLOS every day out there. So that's where it all meets, at a conundrum, really.
Yeah. So just having a quick look at some of the stuff in the chat here. Old Drone Flyer was asking how far can Superman fly line of sight? There was a video. There was a video that I was planning on playing today in the news section of that Greenpeace. Let's play that one anyway. Let's put that up just for a bit of fun. Was the next one. There we go. So this is Greenpeace going and flying into the side of a French nuclear power station. Not exactly the smartest.
I don't think they got the airplane back.
No.
Oh, I understand it's a protest. I don't know that does us any favours, I got to say.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it does any favours at all. What is it, a fixed? It looks like a parrot, is it, or a fixed wing, or a multi-rotor? I can't see.
It's not a multi-rotor. It is a fixed wing. It might be a parrot.
Small fixed wing.
Yeah. But just why would you do it?
Oh,
anyway.
Look, I mean, that we've been involved in security test flights like that too, but we do them controlled. We're doing them at prisons, and you don't need to do it. If you want to prove something, you go and talk to everybody. Say, look, we're going to show you where your security problems are, and do it, and then that it helps everybody. But just going ahead and doing it just creates a panic and a havoc, and we know the risk is there. Anyone that has with common sense knows that an unmanned system can be used as a weapon for the wrong person, and Greenpeace just showed they were the wrong people. They made the point. So I'm not going to make a comment about whether I think I wouldn't have done it myself, but it made the news. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pause just for a few moments because there's been a little bit of discussion in the chat room, and I see the Mavic discussions. Do you think the trade war has anything to do with the Mavic release? Probably, but DJI would be stupid not to have some product ready, as they have done many times before, launch to crush your competition.
Are you talking about the Avanti there, the new Parrot quad that's coming out?
Yeah,
you know about that one.
That and the Autel Evo as well. There's all of these different products coming out. DJI would be stupid not to go and launch something that they had in their kit bag. But again, obviously a couple of things. By the way, I've got to go back and share. I think we missed a picture, which was 1.2.4. Just for my producer putting that up there. So this is a photo I want to share with people. Not that one. Let's try again. 1.2.4. Yeah, this is a tweet that came out recently. This one's come out from a guy by Jeremy Beale. And basically he's saying, hey guys, we've already broken your latest version of firmware DJI. Now, they keep on trying to play catch up, but it hasn't been working too well for them. And I mentioned before the Slack group, so definitely go to that dji.retroroms.net, and it's got a link there to Slack where you can have a look at that and participate. But this was a trivial thing that, DJI patched their code, and 2 minutes later, the guys have got it again.
Yeah, that's not working for them, I know.
Yeah. Now, I don't know for a fact, but, this could be one of the reasons why they haven't launched at this time. They don't want to have a version of code and software loaded onto the aircraft that's vulnerable. If they can get a secure version on before launch, that's going to prevent hackers from doing what they do.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so let's move on. So that's been our news for today, and we're just restarting the stream again because it's been going so well today. Thank you to our proud sponsors, Telstra, once again. So our next item, we've got a guest.
Yay! Here he is.
Okay, so we'll add the audio in for our guest over there. Hi, Mark, and welcome.
Hi, good morning, John and Greg, and everyone else. Hi.
So, Mark, for those who may not have seen or heard him before, let's have a look. Is Mark's audio? Can I just get you to talk again, Mark?
Yeah, hi, good morning again.
No, that's fine. It is working. So, Mark is a helicopter pilot who's worked for how long? How long did you work as a rescue helicopter pilot?
About 17 years.
17 years. And then how did you get from that to drone?
The man you were just talking to was instrumental in that. When I stopped flying full time, I was interested in. I purchased a Mavic to do some photographic work for myself because I'm interested in photography, and then later on upgraded to the Phantom 4 for the slightly better resolution from the camera, and through some other colleagues met John, and I've been doing some work for him on and off since, doing mapping and survey work and that type of stuff.
Okay. So let's have a look. You've got a couple of videos that you've put together. We're going to have a look at that first of all. We'll just leave that in the background and talk over the top of it. Here we go.
Sounds good.
Coming.
Yes. This is, we're very privileged where I live on the east coast of Australia. We've got some magnificent beaches. And I was out just recently doing some testing of some new ND filters, and got out early in the morning before everybody was out on the beach and shot some of this footage using the Phantom 4, the Phantom 4 Pro. And in fact, towards the end of this, you'll see some images that were shot with the Mavic for comparison. But this was all 1080p at 25 frames using the ND8 filter to get that sort of cinematic type look to the movement of the waves, which I hope you can sort of see.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you, I've been contemplating getting some polarizing filters for flying over water. Do you use polarizing ones yourself?
No, I don't. I've only used the NDs to get the matching of the frame rate to try and get that nice smooth look to the movement, if you like. I haven't played with the others, although to be honest, I have some to try.
Yeah, it's on my shopping list. I definitely need to have a look at that.
So this is actually the Mavic footage now, so not terribly different, but
No, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's very, very nice. So tell me, going from helicopter to drone, tell me how the thinking as a helicopter pilot comes into flying a drone.
I think I'm about to echo words that John has sort of said in the past. It's about approaching it from a professional aviation perspective, and there's this little mnemonic we have in aviation called the 5 Ps, which I think John will probably have a giggle at. And it goes as prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And it's
That's 6. That's 6. Obviously, you didn't plan that very well, Mark.
But I like that. That's great.
It's the same. It's the same in IT, except we have proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Prior planning is good, but if it's not proper, it's pointless. And there's another P.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
But I guess to answer your question, being prepared, approaching it from a perspective of planning, being prepared, not only, is your aircraft prepared, but are you prepared? Have you been flying recently? If not, perhaps you should be considering the circumstances you're flying in. Maybe the conditions today aren't what I would normally go flying in, so perhaps I should be thinking about that. And also, knowing your aircraft really well, having read your flight manual, knowing how to control it, perhaps even in the case of the DJI aircraft in attitude mode, so that if things don't work according to plan, you can take control yourself and get the aircraft home. And I guess that's part of that prior planning in having that as a plan in place to see the job out in a safe manner.
Yeah. Look, personally, I started flying with a toy drone from Kmart. My wife bought me as a big mistake for her. I've been flying ever since. But it was important, I think, that I actually started with a non-GPS drone. I think that was really good for my skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, all helicopters, apart from the really big ones, don't have autopilot. So when you learn to fly a helicopter, you're learning to fly it manually. It's a brain learning exercise, and as a trainee pilot, it takes you approximately 25 hours or so to get that what sometimes is referred to as hand-eye coordination, but it's really a hand-brain coordination exercise. And once your brain learns that process and you've taught it how to do that particular coordination, it becomes easier and easier as time goes on. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have a chat about something that I mentioned before, but in the background, I'm just going to get our producer to put some still shots of some of your photography in the background. And we'll be talking about a different topic, but we'll come back and chat about some of those photos in a few moments. So here's my question. So there's a guy by the name of Gary Mortimer who does some stuff for SUAS News. And he has this saying, no GA below 2K. Now, as we continue to move in, progressing drones into automation and to navigation systems and all of that kind of stuff, certainly limiting general aviation is going to help that a long way. What's your thoughts on that?
It's a very interesting question. I think it's going to be a long time before we see it. Aviation changes seem to take a long, long time. And the impact it's going to have on what we call general aviation, that is the lower rung of aviation, if you like, where all the training goes on, I would think would be significantly impacted by such a thing.
Yeah, aviation does move slow in its planning, but by the same token, you've got separation rules for different things that are happening already in general aviation. Why not carve out, just like you've got spectrum and frequencies in radio, why not carve out a piece of airspace to make this actually more workable so that people can actually be innovative? I mean, let me preface that by saying, as a helicopter pilot, absolutely you need to have the ability for emergency vehicles to go and break that kind of ceiling and come down to do whatever they need to do. But why not make it easier for innovation? How do we find the balance?
There's a lot smarter people than myself who've been working on that for a long time, Greg. I don't know there's any quick answer to that. What do you think, John?
I think the same. I think that this is a thing that we haven't sorted out yet. One of the common things that happens here is that all airplanes and UAVs, gliders, hang gliders, regular public transport aircraft at some stage need access to the airspace near the ground. You know,
Yeah.
so it's whereas it's a little bit simplistic to carve up, you know, the airspace and say you have this bit, you have that bit. There is what we call commingling in aviation, and actually in constitutional law, the commingling rule is written inside Section 9 of the Constitution, which allows international aircraft to commingle with ours in our sovereign space. So there's a lot of hurdles to go over yet. One of the things that you know, I've been talking briefly to Mark about before too is that what technology will play a significant role in perhaps how it unfolds. Years ago in GA, general aviation, we used to be non-GPS, have, you know, much more limited navigational possibilities, and we had a system that worked around that, a completely different airspace system, a class of airspace. As the years rolled on, you know, the only thing we knew about airspace was that the change is get used to change. It would always change. So as GPS came on board, we saw things, and those of you in aviation know this, standard instrument departures, standard instrument arrivals, ways of aeroplanes to navigate through the sky effectively using this technology, the GPS technology. Now, ADS-B, traffic avoidance, wind shear radar, and all sorts of stuff. We actually have no idea what's going to present itself. But you know what? We've had people looking at that technology solutions for these things for a long time. I'll say again, Mark's very fair point that it takes a while in aviation. One thing that we need to have in the UAV industry is patience. We actually have to have patience. You know, we're in a rush to do everything, and the only time you'll ever read the word rush in aviation is if you're reading an accident investigation. Honestly, you know, I'm serious. You're rushing.
It's true.
It is weeded out of us as young pilots are taught not to rush. Anytime you rush, you're going to make mistakes. And our industry is in a rush. And if we don't get it right, we will go backwards. We'll have a problem, we'll go backwards. So patience is going to be our biggest virtue, and to be contributors, you know, just to march on with the technology. I think that things are actually going forward pretty fast, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Sorry for the big diversionary topic, but
sorry, Mark. No, but just as a quick one, you know, because we look, and I'll finish with this one. Sorry, Mark, but the sub 2 kilo category allowance for that commercial ops under sub 2 kilos will be debated for a long time. It's still being debated in the Senate of whether it was a good idea. That was a really big move forward in a big hurry. So you know, I don't think we can complain. I think that's all happening. Anyway, go back to my guest because I know he's got. I want to hear what Mark's got to say.
Yeah. Look, let me rephrase it, and I only want to spend a few seconds on it. How do we open innovation for quads and remotely piloted aircraft systems with airspace in mind and still maintaining the balance of safety for emergency service vehicles? Any thoughts, or have I thrown you a curve?
I don't know that I can really give you an answer to that. There's so much complexity in airspace management that it will be difficult to resolve, simply put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there, but what I will do, we'll go back to some of your photos. So going back to photo number .2, whatever that was. So this was obviously an inspection report of some sort?
It was actually photographed during the installation of the solar panels. The photos were taken for the purpose of the chaps who are actually doing the work as part of the promotions for their business.
Okay, let's move on. That one I just wanted to ask about first, and this one, let's get rid of that title underneath there.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's actually taken with the Mavic before I had the Phantom. It's just on Sunset near Nobby's Lighthouse, which is the entrance to the harbour here at Newcastle, which is not far from where I am.
Beautiful. I love the composition of the colour in the horizon sky and the lights. That's just that's a real winner, that one, isn't it? Beautiful. Layers.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with it. Yeah.
Yeah, layers.
And,
lovely.
And this is again just not far from home. early morning, probably around about 7 a.m, looking towards the south again, looking at those lovely beach coastline that we're blessed with in this part of the country.
Yeah. We'll just skip through a couple. There was a one that looked like a nighttime exposure kind of one. Let's not that one.
Oh, that's your helicopter.
Yeah. Let's keep going. We'll find it eventually. No, it's up. There we go. Tell me about that. That's beautiful.
It's a long exposure, around about 30 seconds with the shutter open.
Yeah.
It's taken at around 2 a.m. in the morning. It's around about 30 miles west of Newcastle where I live, which is about as far as you need to travel to get away from the bright lights of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And in February, March is when the Milky Way gets in that position here in Australia. Those folks that live in the Northern Hemisphere aren't fortunate enough to ever actually see the core of the Milky Way clear like that.
Yeah, no, very beautiful photo. So, look, we've got so much content today. There's lots more. That's why I wanted to play all of the photos up front so that we could at least share that. But we won't have time to talk to all of them. But certainly nice talking to you today, Mark. And thank you for everything that you've done over the years as a rescue helicopter pilot. And look forward to having you back again sometime.
Thanks very much, Greg. Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on. We've got so much here today. So we've got some Australian video.
Yep.
And let's have a look. We'll just restart that YouTube button again because it keeps flashing red.
We're still here, aren't we?
We're still here. By the way, Thomas O'Sullivan is asking, how long does the live show normally last? Around an hour is the rough time. So it's an hour each weekend.
Yep.
And here's what just to give you advance notice, I want to keep having some more discussion at the end of the show on our favourite topic, the Mavic. And we're restarting the stream yet again. But we'll re-upload this show later. So for those who missed it while we were restarting the stream again, we're going to have some chat time and we're going to talk about the Mavic a little bit later today.
Beautiful.
Okay, so some Australian videos. So the show is called Oz by Drone. We want to be able to share and show off some drone footage from around Australia to the rest of the world. So you're all going to come here as tourists? No. So you can at least know what it would be like if you did come as a tourist. So the first one we've got today is some footage. All of this is recent footage. This was taken during the last week. And actually, what I'm going to do before I play that, Mark is still sitting in the background there. I'm going to ask you if you could do us a favour and disconnect, because maybe that'll help with the bandwidth woes of the stream and make it a bit more stable. Thanks for that, Mark.
Okay. See you, Mark.
Okay. So the next video we've got here is a HiDefMoto is the name of the channel, and it's some motocross video shot in Melbourne. Let's have a quick look at that. So this was only shot during the last week.
Cool track.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a spot too. They've just dug it out of the dirt. Woohoo!
Now, without going into any detail, I'm assuming this is definitely shot with a sub 100 gram drone, being that they're flying over people, but definitely some good footage.
That's great footage. You know, the interesting point you make there about shooting it legally, Greg, what we won't go into now. Of course, I did a risk assessment on stuff like this one day, and the truth is that when you're riding a motorbike like that, there's much more chance of you being injured doing that than there is by being by being smacked by a phantom when you're wearing a helmet. So
absolutely. And here's another question: the 30-meter rule. when you've got the other vehicle travelling at high speed as well.
That's right. Well, you can, and in certain circumstances, of course, you can, commercial ops can reduce that to 15 metres. Anyway, let's not make this about the rules.
Absolutely.
Let's enjoy the video, of course, and it's just, it's nice. He's doing it very safely, not getting up too close to him, which is always exciting as well. When you're doing that, you can position the aeroplane in a static situation and have the bike jump over it and all that sort of thing. There we go. Very nice. I like the wide shot. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's very nice.
The bike riders would love to see that, of course.
Yeah, we've still got a lot more that I want to try and get through today, so we'll leave that one there. And again, the link to the channel is in the description. That's HiDefMoto is the name of the channel, so if you want to have a look at that.
Great stuff.
Okay, next one. This one is really cool. Daryl Lirad is just commenting. By the way, Daryl, you've got to do me a favor. You've got to send me your address because I've got to send to you the prize pack. So I didn't get your address last week. So make sure you drop that to me in an email at some point. The next one is a channel called Harley Queen FPV. Actually, I've got to go back. So Daryl said he may have got their permission. Daryl, in Australia, even if you are the Prime Minister of Australia, you cannot give permission to a commercial drone operator or even a non-commercial drone operator to fly less than 15 metres away from you. You've got to get permission from CASA. So that's what it is in Australia, just so you know.
So they might have had permission.
He may have had CASA's permission. Let's move on. So Harley Queen FPV, beautiful Australian coastline. We've seen so much coastline video, some from me, some from you, some from anyone else, but this is a little bit unique. This is flying acro over our coastline, and it's absolutely amazing. Let's have a look at that.
Still buffering.
Definitely some lovely content there, and I definitely encourage everyone to go to Harley Queen's channel. It's good to see some women in drone.
And racing drones.
And in racing drones, even better. And in Australia. I mean, I've seen it in other parts of the world, but I've only just come back to that. Really nice footage. And we've been buffering there again, guys. Sorry, we'll upload the video later so you can see the whole thing. But again, the video link to Harley Queen's channel is in the description.
It's like a 250. Easy to put a nice GoPro on top of and shoot that kind of footage. No props in the shot because the airplane's on its side. Yeah, awesome.
Okay. Thanks for that, Harley Queen. We're going to move on to the next one now. So we were talking to Mark before, and he was commenting about Nobby's Beach. So let's have a look at this one. So Nobby's Beach, Newcastle, certainly from around Mark's location. Some beautiful footage there as well. All of these videos have been sent in either by the people who took them or other people suggesting that they're really good shots that they wanted to share, showing off and highlighting parts of Australia.
Nice. With the break wall.
I must say though, every time I hear the name of that particular place, Nobby's Beach, it remembers me of a certain brand of peanuts.
Yes. Oh, it's a great little spot there. A lot of surfers will go out there to check the conditions. Although some great surfing beaches in the Newcastle area, Merriweather, and some absolutely beautiful remote beaches for surfing.
Yeah. I'm just reading Greg Hilton mentioned she did the Don't Drift and Drone last week. Was that by her as well, that video? That was a great video last week as well.
That was really cool. Thanks, Greg. Yeah.
Definitely have to get her on as a guest.
Yeah, do that. Let's give her a guest and chat about the setup. I want to know about the latest in the racing quads.
So the next one we're going to have a look at. The next one is someone I ran into. I mentioned I was flying down at Cronulla recently. We'll just get out of that one. So I was flying down at Cronulla recently, and this was... there were some people doing some fixed wing flying down there, and this is what these are the people that I met there. They were doing that flying, I was doing my quad, and they said they had a YouTube channel as well, so let's have a quick peek at that.
Was that gliders? They were flying gliders there?
No, fixed wing.
Okay. Oh yeah, cool.
Angry Bird, I do love the opening.
That's cool. Oh, so where is this, Greg? Oh, this is somewhere where they've been flying. Yeah. Not Cronulla.
No, so I met them at Cronulla. This is their channel's opening video, which has got a number of places that they've been flying all edited together.
Yeah, nice. Oh, bit quick. Bit quick. Oh, that's nice.
So this channel is Yowie P51, some really good content there, and I'm certainly going to try and hook up with them again sometime and go flying down there again.
It's good to know to see that setup there with the pod aircraft with the prop on the back, or the pylon. That's a very stable setup for fixed wing when you're setting up UAV. Highly recommended for a first timer. If you're ever getting into that, apart we've talked about the Parrot being automated, but that's a very easy to fly manual aeroplane as well. There we go, that's nice. Walking around the coast.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip a few things. I'm going to share one more video today, which was from Chris Hope, who's one of our viewers. This one's not an Australian one, but still some good footage nonetheless. So this is 5.1 we're skipping to. So this is at Getty Lake Crossroads in Texas. I think Chris was in the channel earlier today. There he is.
That's nice. That's very nice. And again, layered composition. See the way you've got sky layer, tree layer, refraction layer, water layer. Just beautiful composition in terms of setting up your shot and not moving too quickly. Obviously horses for courses, when you've got a serene shot like that, smooth video is what draws the observer into the space. Very nice. And of course, we say to, there's lots and lots of fantastic video out there, of course, folks, but of course the things that we feature here are with things that we like, but mostly pieces that have been contributed by our people that watch the show. So that's what that's about, Obviously, you can get lots of things. We love to do that for the people that enjoy the show, watch the show, subscribe to the show, and so we always encourage you to send your stuff in, perhaps one day, Greg, Oz by Drone will grow enough that we can have a bit of a repository for video listener or subscriber videos where they can meet and greet. So anyway, one day, that's a good idea.
And speaking of sending your videos in, let's just quickly remind people about a few things. Please do subscribe to our channel. It is important to us. When we reach 1,000, we have a prize. We're giving away the Osmo Mobile. So that's a giveaway. So help us to hit 1,000 by sharing a link to our channel with your friends, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins, your work colleagues, anything you can. We're also available on Facebook. Please do like our page and, again, share the link.
Yep.
Each week we also send out a little tweet about what we're doing each week. So you can follow us on Twitter.
Yep.
If you do want to upload something, we have upload at gregkuhnert.com. Do not send the actual video as an attachment because that's going to be pretty useless. But if you send a link to a Dropbox or something like that, that would be absolutely awesome. For those who want to send something in snail mail, there we have it, 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales 2224. Just to share with people, I recently sent something to someone overseas, Ken Heron, and I was going to get the video, but I didn't get time to do it today. A video of Ken trying to eat Vegemite, although he didn't do much eating. He put it on his tongue and then was totally repulsed by it. So that was interesting. But if you've got something interesting you want to send to us, that was the address.
Man, I've got something totally interesting that just happened right now. I'm going to take on a little... You got to watch this, right? So I don't know if I can reverse the video, but I just got attacked by some kind of pigeon bird, and it's a homing pigeon. So it's got stuff on its feet. Hang on, check this out. Tell me when you can see it. There's the bird there. Can you see that bird?
Yeah.
Okay, see, he's got things on his feet. What is that?
Can you get him to dance? Have we got Ken's song? We'll get him to dance.
He's freaking out. I reckon he got chased by a sea eagle. All right, and so, but he's definitely got stuff on his, like 2 rings on his feet. It's definitely some kind of pigeon, right? Is that a pigeon? Or like some kind of seagull pigeon or whatever it is? I mean,
I guess so.
It's a show about flying. But anyway, he just freaked out. He came right next to me, right up to me, and then now he's just settled down there. So I don't know. Maybe I don't have to worry about lunch now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Speaking of just having a look around, you've just gone on for a brief walk. Do you want to just see if you can go up on deck?
Here we go. This is home for me.
For those who don't know, John lives on a houseboat, and he's got the tragic life of looking at this out of his window every day, each and every day.
I'm upstairs at the moment. This is my heliport that I'm standing on now. So I use the upstairs deck. I do all my launches off here. So I can, it's obviously flying over water. That's a dog park over there. That's a off-leash dog park. I got my tennis courts over here. And yeah, it's a life of luxury. Trust me.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do it though, man. Someone's got to do it. So.
Yeah. We've got a request from Greg Hilton. He wants you to sing the pigeon jerky song, The Cadillac of Processed Meat.
I can. I mean, what is it about pigeons in our shows? Look at that.
Yeah.
Where's he gone? Where's he gone? I don't know. He's gone somewhere now.
Yeah.
I can't see him. Anyway, that was the pigeon thing.
Yeah. So we're going to skip the aerodynamics bit for this week. We've done that for a couple of weeks. We'll chuck that in next week. We do need to talk about a competition though. So we have last week asked you to have a look at one of our videos, and I'm going to give you some time now to have a look at it. You don't need to listen to it, but I do want you to open the Kyle Bay video. It's one of our previous videos. And there's a simple question. First person to post in the chat room, what is the last thing on the screen other than the grass before the Osby Drone logo at the end of that video? Okay, first person to post that in the chat. You can open it up in the background right now. Pretty easy thing to do.
I got no idea.
And the answer is not grass.
Okay.
Okay, so it's coming down for a landing. What's the last thing you see other than the grass? Second thing, if you want to win next week, you need to have a look at the Barrel video. So there's a video taken at Barrel, which is in Australia as well. There will be a question next week. I don't know what the question is
yet. You might want
to
spell that, Greg, Barrel, because it's not barrel.
Yeah, B-O-W-R-A-L.
Yeah, B-O-W-R-A-L, Barrel.
Yeah, so that's next week. By the way, what the prize is, it's a D1 store prize pack. We've got a hat and a backpack. And Steve Mack, didn't you win once before and you said you were giving it to someone else? I'm trying to remember, Steve, but either way.
Fence post, is that right?
That is correct. Fence post. It's a fence. This is where Ken would press the applause button, but I don't have one of those machines.
I can do that for you. Here you go. I can do that.
So, Steve, do send me your address. And again, our winner from last week, who I'm trying to recall, I mentioned it before.
He's going to send you an address too, I know.
Yeah, send me the address, giving you the hat and the backpack. And last but not least, just a reminder again, we're giving away the DJI Osmo Mobile. To win that, we need to hit 1,000 subscribers. You need to comment on the video, so please do have a look at that. And Steve Mack said, yes, I have one. Please choose someone else. So, Steve, you've got to stop answering the questions if you don't want the prize pack.
No, it's good. I know what that's like. You got to, if you know the answer.
Okay, so the first one to say I win instead of Steve, we'll send it out to you. Oh, no, there we go, Mars. He's the first one to say the correct answer. We'll give it to Mars.
There you go, Mars.
Mars, send me your address later and I'll get that out to you. What else? We'll be back again next week, but I want to have a little bit of time to chat to some people right now. So I have my magic button. Not that one. Did I press the wrong button? I did. There we go. That one. So I said we'd have some time at the end, just a couple of minutes, to continue the discussion that we've been having about DJI, Mavic, that picture, and related topics. So if you want to come into the chat room and we'll have an informal chat now. Let's get that picture back on the screen again. I think it was the one that says Wiki in the...
with the pink fingernail polish in it. There it is.
That's the one. So just to quickly recap what we do know, we can obviously see the camera there, we can see the sleeker body, we can see the camera sensors. Motors certainly look a little bit beefier.
Can you see the second camera in the very bottom left-hand side of the screen there? See that lying on its side?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the picture on the screen over here has been cropped when it went out to air. But
that's another camera sitting there.
Yep.
And it appears to be a gimbal attachment to it. So if you look at the camera on the Mavic itself, you could imagine you could plug that in like a 90-degree or perpendicular to the way the Inspire goes, plug it in and use a catch or a latch mechanism to latch it in. That's exciting.
Appears to be. How long do you think the DJI event will be put on hold for? Just out of interest, when it was postponed, I did write to a contact at DJI, but I only sent that to him late Friday. And I've asked him for a little bit more info about the rescheduling and
no, you
and
didn't.
So
you
forth.
Pleaded with him. I know it was, but you know what?
What I did say to him, in all fairness, I think it was the smartest thing for them to do to postpone it. If it wasn't ready, there's no point. I've seen so many companies try and get a product out and then have egg on their face. So I applauded them for that. But
at the same time, it's good that you suggested they be a little transparent. It would be good for everyone to know a bit of why. I mean, that's eventually kind of a nice thing. Companies say, well, we weren't ready. We had, and that's the best thing that DJI could say. Oh, the airplane wasn't ready to release. Or we had, manufacturing delays, whatever it was. It's always nice to say. And I think that's where they could have gone one notch higher on this scale of credibility.
I can just see down there, Jezza B 3160. Can we put the next photo up again? 1.4, I think it was, 1.1.4 or something. Yeah, Jeremy Beale. He is the person who posted the screenshot that you can see there at the moment. And, he is one of the original gangsters. For those who don't know, the OGs are the people that have been going through the DJI firmware and software and finding all those security vulnerabilities. And the reason why this work is important, two things. One, finding the problems helps keep the aircraft secure, but at the same token, it also enables some creativity in terms of what you can do with the aircraft. So in Australia, for example, we don't have the automatic unlock button that they have in the US. You've got to send an email off, unless that's changed. I haven't had a look at that recently, but send an email off.
Yeah.
Is that still the same, John?
It is. They've changed one thing. You can go online and register. You've still got to receive an email and actual license. So what it's called is custom unlocking. And in the States, there are areas where you can have to custom unlock as well. And there are areas designated where you can have a self-unlock. So the rest of the world pretty much is custom unlock other than the US and perhaps China, I don't know.
So I can see in the chat there, Bill the Drone Reviewer's saying that he's got a video coming out at 4 a.m. that talks about the reason for the delay. Come on, just tell us, is it because of Jezabee's discovery of the latest vulnerability? I would love it if it was. I would so love it if that's the reason for the delay. But
well, we're going to find out.
I do want to hypothesize there's only a couple of reasons why this is going to be. It's either a hardware problem, pretty basic, or if it is a software problem, the only reason why the software would stop them from doing the launch event is if it was a security vulnerability, because DJI don't want someone to get that version of code because they know it's vulnerable. So hypothetically, if Jez's most recent discovery, then DJI saw that and said, oh crap, we can't release it now. We've got to get a secure version to be the first version on this aircraft so that they can't keep doing what they're doing. That's a possibility.
I would suggest that maybe it's not that, Greg, from the point of view that all they're doing is making an announcement. This is not airplanes in a store. This is not an airplane you can buy yet.
True.
It's an announcement of a product type. So, and think about that. Why wouldn't, if you've got an airplane and mock up a nice video, why wouldn't you just announce it anyway? The only reason I could think that you'd delay or cancel is if you want to pull the whole airplane, the whole project. But we could assume that there is somewhere in the world there are cartons and crates of these things ready to go. Perhaps there isn't. Perhaps there is a problem. But again, all they're doing is an announcement. And so why that the software would be an issue anyway, because the software should be released with the airplane. And we're a long way from that.
By the way, just a quick comment. Bill, the drone reviewer, who's in the chat room at the moment, he's our guest next weekend. So looking forward to him coming and joining us. Have we got any other questions here? Mars, someone is guessing that it's iJustine's fingers in that shot. Yes, so we've certainly seen the pink fingernails. Thomas suggesting that it's just to build up the hype. You know, this is an interesting one. I don't know the answer to this, but the date that the picture came out, was it immediately after the original embargo or non-disclosure date? Right? So hypothetically, there's a bunch of people who've had the product in their hands, testing it, evaluating it, and maybe they haven't breached their contract by releasing it. And
look, what Thomas is proposing is perfectly plausible in this day and age of marketing. There's no hype is everything, you know, and the more media, I mean, they had everybody looking towards the date. Okay, now we've delayed the date. Guess what? We're all around the world is talking about the new airplane from DJI. It worked, you know, it did work. It's hype. Hype is a very, very tangible marketing tool. You know, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and Bill's saying 2 models, a Mavic 2 and a Mavic Pro 2. Highly possible.
Yeah, possible. 2 versions, very much so. Whether the Pro version's got the removable camera, whether it's got what they've done, whether the bigger motors are on the other one, I don't know. Why it's a version 2, but look at the rate that they're putting things out. I still can't get my head around a Phantom 5 yet. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't get my head around why that's going to happen right now.
Why do you think it won't happen?
Because of the V2, and I think that.
I don't think so. I think the V2 was not enough of a game changer. I think that was kind of like they've got all of their existing shells and bits and pieces, and they're trying to go and get rid of their existing inventory.
True, but I mean, they pulled. That's true. So they had all the shells, and the V2 Phantom V2 is the same shell, same props, same everything else. So what you do is you pull OcuSync onto it, right? So that's a bit of a deal. OcuSync's a very robust transmission technology that they've tweaked and fine-tuned. And so now we've got pretty much all our platforms. Mavic was the first one with it. Now we've got OcuSync on the Phantoms as well, and on the Inspires. So again, without that technology, I look at everything. First of all, what camera technology is available. Every release, you've got to make a jump in camera. You've got to make and the V2 Phantom doesn't. You've got to make a jump in battery. There's a big deal about, and that's a bit of a tough one. You know, even though we had a few minutes, the Phantom 4 battery was so much more than the Phantom 3. So
it was a big jump, yeah.
Yeah, it was the Phantom 5 battery. We haven't seen anything off the roll about any new batteries that might be available to this sort of quad yet. So I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
like everyone.
I got a question for Jezza, just because he's probably the one person who would know. The V2 Phantom versus the V1, what differences were there actually in the hardware? I don't know if you've had one to pull apart and debug and get your teeth into, but that'd be interesting to look at.
The Phantom V1 and V2?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about the Phantom 4 version 1 and version 2, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, the OcuSync was the big one.
That was in terms of functionality, but what hardware, or is that just a software change? I haven't...
No, OcuSync is more than software. OcuSync is, I believe, a hardware in terms of its duplex transmission capability. So you're using, and you won't find OcuSync on pure 2.4, I don't believe. I believe it uses 2.4 and 5.8. In duplex, but I'll have to check that. It's been a while since I looked at it, actually.
Just before we go, I'll share one more thing based on what Jez has just said. The Phantom 4 Pro version 2, all the firmware is nearly all Mavic Pro. So Mavic Pro firmware on that assumedly different hardware platform.
Yeah.
I want to comment on that very briefly. I heard a rumor certainly ages ago that the original Phantom software team, after the Mavic came out, was made redundant, retrenched or whatever. So that's one of the reasons why I believe that there's been a lot slower development in the Phantom product range than some of the other ones. So just a little observation there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I watch pretty closely the Matrice and the Inspire developments as well, because they're all connected. You know, if you can buy a $25,000 Matrice, and guess what app you're using with it? DJI Go 4. You know, so there's a commonality amongst them that goes, you know, in software, hardware as well. And I perfectly understand that a lot of the chipsets and accelerometers are the same across the aircraft range. Yeah. So that's improving too. They're getting better all the time. If you want to run a triple IMU preheated accelerometer system, you got to step out of DJI. You got to go to the Pixhawks, and they actually have a better autopilot hardware platform all round.
Yeah, I just saw Zebmeet. I guess my question was lost regarding IR, and I'm just trying to find that. Finally, where did he originally ask?
Infrared.
Yeah. But where's the question?
Obstacle avoidance and so forth.
Might there be IR on the new DJI product? Out of the box, I doubt it.
Well, we've got
possibly
infrared
as a plug-in camera. No,
yeah.
It
means camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at. It's very doable. Plug-in camera. I mean, we've been getting clever with RGB cameras as well. You can put filters on those if you want to have near red filters on it and so forth. It's very limited. It's nothing like thermal or radiographics. But you know, light is basically a waveform. So all you're doing is being able to manage a different waveform. Doesn't matter whether it's unless you're measuring heat, anything like that. definitely possible in terms of infrared, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, look, we've gone over time a little bit today, but it's been good having the chat at the end of the show. I'm looking forward to being here again next week. The video will be uploaded, so for those of you who are watching live and battling with both the in and out and also the audio coming, I think, from John's mic, it sounds like, I don't know.
Well, you can hear the wind generator now. It's not the pigeon anymore. I think the pigeon's taken off because the wind has picked up. We're looking at just on 20 knots now.
The wind generator. Have you been eating baked beans again? Anyway,
no, I haven't. Okay, good.
With that, thank you for watching. See you next time. I'm Greg.
I'm John.
And we're Oz by Drone. Bye
See
for
you
now.
next time. Bye-bye.